Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here, great for recovering alcoholic and addict, just like every day. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe, leave the video a like, drop me a comment, and by all means, share it with anybody you think might get something out of it. Other than that, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I just got in. As I talked about, I went and had Thanksgiving dinner with my brother, his wife, and his kid. His son is 18 years old. I think the last time we figured out, the last time I saw him, I think he was 5 or 6. So it's been quite some time since I've been, able to spend time with my family like that, and that's strictly because of my addiction. It was such a nice meal. It was such a great time to visit with my brother, see his house. What a great day. And like I said all the time, that is the true gift to recovery, guys. Is the joys and the being able to participate in life and just making amends and being there with people you love, right? I'm so excited for this holiday season. It's officially kicking off today. I am not going shopping for Black Friday tomorrow. I'm not going that far. All right, guys, we're going to get into reading today. I hope everybody's had a great, wonderful day. We all have so much to be thankful for, particularly being sober. I'm incredibly grateful, incredibly thankful for my life today. And a big part of that is because I seek God's help, and that's the title of our reading today, guys. Seeking God's help. At times during our recovery, the decision to ask for God's help is our greatest source of strength and courage. When we take the third step, we decide to allow a loving higher power to guide us and to care for us in our daily lives. We make the decision to allow this guidance and care into our lives. Some of us believe that once we've made the third step decision, God leads us. From that point on, it is just a matter of paying attention to where we are being led. The third step decision is an act of faith, and asking for God's help is a way of renewing that act of faith. Putting faith to work in our daily lives gives us all the courage and strength we need because we know that we have the help of a loving higher power. We trust that our needs will be met. We can tap into that faith and trust just by asking. The affirmation is, just for today, I will remind myself that I'm not alone by asking my higher power for help each step of the way. Guys, incredible, right? I love these readings. Very simple, but very, very profound and very powerful, and literally, what has made the difference in my life, guys. As I mention constantly, and I will continue to say constantly, seeking God's help is something I do on a daily basis. I start my day in prayer. I end my day in prayer and meditation every day without fail. One of the things I love, I think one of the best decisions I made, and I made this immediately upon coming home, because I was able, guys, by seeking God's help, I was able to identify old behaviors and where I went wrong with a lot of them. And one of them was waking up to my phone ringing and somebody deciding that they needed me to go put some fire out that more than likely wasn't mine to deal with. So I would get up frantic and frazzled, not centered, not grounded, not in a state of gratitude, not having a conscious contact relation with my higher power, but just running out the door frazzled, halfway out. If I had anything I needed to do in the morning, it would get overlooked. Halfway through the day, I'd realize I blew it, and then by then I'd be out, just running amok, and it just would not allow me to take care of the things that I need to get done. So these days, I realized that by getting up, centering myself in prayer, gives me time to think, time to breathe, time to ground myself, and then I get to decide what's important for the day. Check my computer, check my emails, make sure there's anything I need to do. Is there anything I need to bring? Did I bring something home? Did I charge a battery? Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. It just gives me control over my day. And that's just getting started, guys. But I'm already off, every single day I'm off on the right foot. Further than that, most of my prayers are thanking God. Now, one thing I do every single time is I seek His guidance. I ask God to allow me and to help me to turn my will over to Him, to allow me to have knowledge of His will for me and the power to carry that will out. Just that act right there, that asking God for those things, helps me throughout my day to understand when I'm starting to step into a direction that isn't God's will for me. Right? And it's very easy to feel it. And typically, as soon as I feel it, like, oh, nope, that's not what we want to be doing, and I'm able to guide myself back. Now, not perfectly, guys. I make mistakes every day. Yeah, I'm human. I'm always going to. But as I continue to say, and I've said so many times, the mistakes that I make today don't carry the gravity of the weight that the ones I used to make on a daily basis. This morning, being Thanksgiving, I was reminded of that immediately. My friend Doug, who I talk about all the time, is home for Thanksgiving. I woke up to him calling me at 7 o'clock this morning, and I'm like, hey, all excited to see my friend. And immediately, I was ripped a new a-hole, right? I was yelled at. And yeah, I know Doug is very anal. One of the things we always do when he comes home is we run around and make sure everything's. He's only home a couple times a year, and I manage his properties, and I make sure that everything's how it needs to be because I know he's very particular, like things just so. Guys, as I've been saying, I've been so busy and so overwhelmed that literally yesterday afternoon I left a ladder and a sink outside of a garage door while I was picking up a new stove. I didn't have room for it in the truck. I forgot to go back and get it because my day ran late. Other people interfered. I made a mess of the cabinet section when I was bringing the new cabinets over last week. Was too busy. I forgot to go back and straighten them out. And that first property you walked into was an absolute mess because I left it that way. Again, in the past, it would be a nightmare. Oh, I'd be lying, making up excuses, and literally, he goes, oh my God, Jesus Christ. And as soon as I realized, I said, Doug, I'm so sorry. I said, yeah, no, I went over there yesterday because you switched things up and asked me to drop everything and get the appliances installed. I ran over to get the stove. The day went long. I completely forgot to go back over there. I'm so sorry, and that's why, as we discussed, we do things now. And again, same with the cabinets, Doug. It's my heat season. I've been trying to satisfy your demands, and that's not an excuse. I'm just telling you what happened, but you're 100% right. I completely dropped the ball. I knew you were coming home. I've been so busy, I didn't even get a chance to go and look at the properties. And said, I'm sorry. And he goes, well, I just want it straightened out. I said, yeah, I'll straighten it out. And of course, I will not submit a bill for doing so. And we started laughing because there's another kid that works for him that's been blaming me for everything for years, and it's never me. Well, this time he started laughing because again he knows, and he just started cracking up, and he goes, "My God, at least for once, it was actually your fault." And we had a good laugh, and he asked me what I was doing for Thanksgiving, and told me he was going to the gym, and we smoothed it out. We ended the phone call on a laugh, and it was not the end of the world, because I didn't duck my responsibility. I explained to him what happened, and I told him he was right, and I'm sorry, and I'll come make it right. That's it. That's all we gotta do, guys. You gotta own your mistakes. You gotta, I didn't dwell on it all day. I didn't freak out. Oh, Doug, who's done so much for me, now he's mad at me. Oh my God, let me go. Let me go use drugs and wallow in my misery. No, I stood up. I accepted, my reprimand, and told him he's right. I said, yep, you're absolutely right. I said, Doug, I got no excuse. I said, listen, that's how busy I've been lately. I knew you were coming home, and I literally didn't have a chance to get back there, and I apologize. I'll go make it right. Simple as that, right? And again, immediately, that's all. He just wanted to be heard, and I allowed him to be heard, and I gave him an honest answer and told him he's right. I made a mistake. I was running around like a madman, and that's the end of it, guys. And we were able to put it to bed. No harm done, no foul. Tomorrow he's actually home, so I'll turn in my week's bills and collect a check for a couple of G's, and we'll have a hug and a handshake and have a great day and just move on. Like the mistakes I make today. First of all, I'm able to own them. I'm not so under the gun that I feel like I'm being blamed for everything because I'm doing good things all day long. So when I do make a mistake, I just own it and explain. And then further than that, I hung up the phone and I said, okay, how did I overlook Doug coming home and not going and checking the properties? And I immediately said, well, I'm that busy these days, and that's got to be a concern because it's great to be as busy as I am, but I have to make sure that I don't get so busy that I start to not do a quality job. And my work is quality, but not cleaning up the mess behind me was not. That's not quality. So again, I'm only able to acknowledge these things today and get ahead of them because every morning and every night I stop and I seek God's help. I ask God for the knowledge of His will and the power to carry it out. And then I try to apply that in my life every day. I try to look at situations rather than just getting upset and saying, oh, I blew it, this, that, and beating myself up for it. No. I acknowledge that I made a mistake and I say, okay, well, what do I got to do to make sure that this behavior doesn't, continue? I'm used to getting commended lately, and I still constantly get commended. People are very proud of what I do. I'm very proud of what I've done. I know God is proud of what I've done. And I want to keep that going, and I keep that going by continuing to ask God for help. I ask Him all the time, God, help me to be the best version of myself. Help me to show others in recovery what's possible. Help me to live a life that makes you proud, me proud, and helps others around me. These are the things I ask for. Those are my only asks in prayer. I don't ask to be a billionaire. I don't ask for this. Whatever God's will for me, I already know. This whole year has been about finding God's will for me, and I've already surpassed anything I thought I could possibly do for myself. Clearly, God wants better for me than I could ever think I deserve for myself, and that's beautiful because I don't want to cap what what good can come into my life. So I continue to praise God. I continue to thank God. Right? That's another thing I do, guys. One thing I say in my, and again, this is very personal stuff, but I feel it works really well, and I think it's a good idea because it keeps us focused on what's proper, what's most important. I thank God for the blessings I have. Large and small, all the blessings I have in my life and all the blessings that continue to come into my life. And I just think that's a very important thing. A lot of these things, I understand. God knows my mind. God knows I'm grateful. The reason I speak these out loud in prayer is because it keeps me focused. I don't have to remind God. I don't, God doesn't need any reminder or any information from me, but I need to remind myself that everything I have is because I've aligned myself with my higher power. I've asked God into my heart, into my life, into my all. I've turned my will over. I've turned my life over to be of service of God. These are the things that have changed me. There are so many individual variables and situations and opportunities and questions and answers and things that happen throughout the day that I'm not capable of analyzing and then choosing every single one. So I cover them blanket by just trying to be the best version of me. I don't worry about the outcomes on things. Like I've let my spin on things, what I think is best, go. I just look at the task at foot, the moment at hand, and I just make the best decision I can for not only myself, because I've got to put myself first, because if I don't, who's going to? But then I try to share the overflow with those around me. I try to share love. I try to share openly, willingly, and freely with anybody that needs it, wants it, or is willing to hear it. I try to look at other people's point of view. I try to be a part of a community today. I try to uplift anybody that's down around me. Try to lend a hand to anybody I know, or even if I don't know. If I see somebody hurting, and then again, there's times I also have to understand my limits. Prime example, I was driving home. My brother lives in Bellingham, which is about an hour and 10 minutes from where I am here in Somerville. Coming home, I was driving the Mass Pike east into Boston, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we hit some traffic. I'm like, all right, whatever, a little bit of traffic. I'm not concerned. I'm listening to a video on my phone, and as we were getting closer to the traffic jam, I started to see something and smell something. There was a car that was raging on fire on the side of the pike, right near, I think, Newton Center, somewhere in the Newton Center vicinity. And my first thought when I see a car broken down, or I see a car on fire, in this case, was A, is there any way I can make sure nobody's in this thing? So I slowed down, got into the middle lane, and thankfully, I could see the family standing back about 300 yards from the car, waving everybody on, waving around. And as I started to pull over to see if there's anything that I could do, I saw two state police vehicles, lights and sirens flying up behind me, pulling over to help. Guys, there's nothing I could do in that situation. Now, clearly, there was nobody in the car. They're not frantic. They're just waving everybody around. I could see they're out of the car. I have a small fire extinguisher I keep in my truck, but it's not going to do anything to a car that is fully engulfed. And I mean, this thing was fully engulfed. But you know what? At least the thought was there. I made sure they were safe. There was nothing that I could do other than, hold up traffic. And then I continued on my way. I got to understand my limitations. Yes, I want to help. I want to make a difference anywhere I can. There's nothing I can do for a fully engulfed car on fire. I made sure people know, there was nobody hurt, nobody needed my assistance, and that the proper authority is notified. I was going to call 911, but the police were already pulling up. So there you go. Glad nobody got hurt. Glad everybody got out of their car, and I knew my limitation, and I moved on, and just thank God for nobody was hurt. kind of a silly little thing, but just one of those things. As like typically, as you guys know, I've mentioned so many times on the channel, I love helping out a motorist in distress. I like to let people know there's still good people. I like to make sure people are safe. I'm a mechanic, and I'm as part of my background, so I'm usually pretty good at getting somebody up and running. And that's one of the things I love about myself. But at the same time, I got to acknowledge it's not something I have to stop every time I see something if it's out of my hand and it's being handled. And again, these are all things I'm able to acknowledge now, guys. And I know they seem like such simple decisions sometimes, but guys, you got to understand. For an active addict for 30 years who just made every wrong move, these weren't things I considered before. So much so that they're different today, and I have to acknowledge them. And I can just assume that other people going through addiction um, are similar. And guys, let me tell you, when you start working the program and you start doing these things, they make you feel good about who you are. There's nothing more powerful that will keep you sober than actually learning to love the person that you are. Simple as that. Like one of the things, it's funny when my brother invited me today. My brother is a big marijuana smoker, and that's fine. I have no problem with anybody that smokes weed. I personally, I'm 100% sober because I'm teaching myself to live sober, to figure out how my brain works sober, give my brain and body time to recuperate from medicating myself for decades. And my brother was kind enough not to smoke in front of me and make it a point of dipping out back, and I'd let him know it didn't bother me at all. But I don't even know where I was going with that. But and that doesn't have to be a problem today, right? And and he's okay. My brother's got a beautiful house, a beautiful family. And one thing I really enjoyed today. My brother is a year younger than I am, so he's about 51. He met his wife the year he got out of high school, and they've been together ever since. Have a beautiful child, a beautiful marriage. They're still playful and fun, and they have the cooking dinner together today. That warmed my heart. And these are things I noticed today. I would have never noticed it before, honestly. In years past, because my brother stayed at the same job for 30 years, like I would have considered him to be living a too simple a life for me. And that's crazy, right? Imagine that. Somebody who married his high school sweetheart, is still in love with her to this day, raised a beautiful kid, has a beautiful home, stayed at the same job, and has a pension for 35 years. And I would, at one point in my life, had looked down on that. You got to look at the ways we're thinking, guys, and we got to fix the ways that are broken, rather than sitting in a victim mentality, blaming. And that's what happens, guys. And I was guilty of it myself, so believe me, I'm not calling you out. But when it is very difficult to let go of that victim mentality, but as long as you're in a victim mode, you can't move forward because you're giving your power away to everybody else. If you can't correct your mistakes because you're believing they're somebody else's fault, then you're just going to repeat them because somebody new will take the place of the person in control. Guys, it's no good. We've got to take accountability for our actions, and we got to start making better choices. And you do so, and you start gaining control of your life. I've gained so much power and so much control of my life because I give it away to God on a daily basis. Simple as that. Guys, seeking God's help is one of the smartest, most powerful things I've ever done in my life, and I will continue to do so multiple times a day. Guys, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I have so much to be thankful for this year. I am so incredibly grateful. Everybody watching, please know I'm incredibly grateful for you. I love you very much. God loves you. I love you. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you in the next one.